SpaceX Starlink Generation 2 redesign will impact your data speeds sooner than you think. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for once again joining me for tea time. Today we have a little bit of fireside. You know, I love that lap song. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking tech, talking photo, talking video. Today is a tech day. It is a Starlink day. It's an update. And this is a lot of just good information, really good news, and I'm very optimistic, and I think you guys will be also. The SpaceX Starlink satellites Gen 2s that were originally said to only be able to be launched via their Starship are now being redesigned so that they're able to be launched through the Falcon 9 system. That is a major turn of events. Now, I was reading a couple of articles, one over at Teslarati as well as on Space News, and I just want to read to you some of the excerpts from both because I think it's very important what's going on. And if you are, like me, a Starlink user, and you've been experiencing just slowdowns and just horrible latency, or if you are getting this spotty service and maybe you're experiencing some congestion, whereas your speeds used to be at, let's say, 200 megabits now we're all the way down to 150, 40 megabits, and your upload speeds, which used to be 20 and 30 and 40 megabits, that are down to now under 10. A lot of this, I think, is going to be fixed in the not so distant future. So let's go through a few of these articles, and then I want to give you my commentary on it. I want to give you my thoughts, and then more importantly, I want to hear what you think. And if you enjoy this content, even in the least, I ask that you just simply give this video a thumbs up and let your friends, family, colleagues, Reddit, Facebook, whoever know about the channel. Because on this channel, I do have a Starlink playlist. And if you haven't seen it yet, after this video, go visit it. There's probably about 60 or 70 great Starlink-centric videos where I give you helpful tips and tricks and how-tos and commentary and all kinds of Starlink goodness. So go check out that playlist. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel as of yet, please consider doing so and click this little bell icon right here. So when I go live or when a new video comes out, you will be notified of it immediately. Also, if you just want to say thank you, a lot of people have been asking me how to do this. There is now a thank you button. Thank you, YouTube, for the button. There is a thank you button down here that you can donate, or even better, simply become a member of the channel. I would love to have you. That would be awesome. Also, if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. Go over to JCristina.com/books. Once again, JCristina.com/books. Let's jump right into this article at the Teslarati. It says in January of 2022, SpaceX chose to solely pursue the constellation optimized for Starship, strongly indicating that the company believed the rocket would be ready to support Starlink launches in the near future, or at least around the same time that the constellation received its Generation 2 FCC license. A single Starship Gen 2 launch using the current satellite and rocket design and carrying 54 satellites could potentially deploy around 7 to 8 times more usable bandwidth than a Falcon 9 with Starlink version 1.5, meaning that the Starship could achieve similar deployment results in just a few launches per year in comparison to this breakneck speed of launches. Now, I personally think that even if this is the case, I still believe that Elon Musk would continue constantly sending the Starship up in comparison to sending the Falcon 9s up. I think he would continue down that route, and he wouldn't go and just send a few per year. It just ain't going to happen. He doesn't work like that. It continues by saying, what we need to bear in mind is that the Starlink Generation 2 satellites are 3 times faster, boosting maximum throughputs from 50 gigabits per second all the way up to 150 gigabits per second. That is a lot of data. And these are those Generation 2. But the Generation 2 has to be redesigned to be able to fit inside those Falcon 9 tips. So we'll get into that in just a second. Let's get into the Space News article. I really like this article because the way it was written is very similar to the way I would break down my videos. I'm into doing a video having to do with the how and the why of something. If you just tell someone the how, it just doesn't give them an understanding. Whereas if you explain to them the why, then all of a sudden you're actually giving them something of value that they can take with them. So I really like this article a lot. Anyways, it starts out by saying SpaceX has decided to use a mix of Falcon 9 and Starship rockets to launch the 30,000 satellites in its proposed second-generation satellite broadband constellation. Launching some of the satellites with SpaceX's tested and dependable Falcon 9s will accelerate the constellation's deployment to improve Starlink service. On August 19th, just a few days ago, SpaceX's Director of Satellite Policy, David Goldman, wrote a letter to the FCC. Now, in this letter, Goldman did not say when SpaceX could start launching the second-generation constellation, which remains subject to FCC approval. In January, SpaceX said it had picked a configuration for low Earth orbit, or LEO network that leveraged Starship. Now, if you don't know what the SpaceX Starship is, basically it is a super heavy lift vehicle. It's equivalent to a Falcon 9 on steroids, and it sits almost like 400 feet tall. It's massive. Anyways, the article continues by saying, the Federal Aviation Administration completed a lengthy environmental assessment in June that would allow Starship launches from Boca Chica. However, SpaceX must first implement dozens of measures to mitigate environmental effects. Starship is designed to send more than 100 tons of payload into LEO, or low Earth orbit, versus under 23 tons from a SpaceX Falcon 9 workhorse. So we're looking at a massive difference in the amount of payload from a Falcon 9 to, obviously, the Starship. About 4 times more in tonnage. That is a lot in every single launch. That's massive. SpaceX has also previously said second-generation Starlink deployment via Starship could enter service within weeks after launch, rather than months following a Falcon 9 mission. And that is one of the things that I've talked to you guys in the past about. When a Falcon 9 launches up a host of satellites, that train that you see in the sky of 50-plus satellites, what ends up happening is those satellites take months sometimes to get into their specific location where they're going to be orbiting the Earth, their orbital pattern and their orbital distance. This is a long period of time. And what they're saying with the Starship, they're going to cut this time also probably in half or in a quarter. So within weeks, they can have a satellite that they just launched up already in operation. That is massive. Quote, while SpaceX will use technically identical satellites on both rockets, the physical structure will be tailored to meet the physical dimensions of the rocket on which it will be launched. This is something that Goldman said to the FCC. Elon Musk, SpaceX CEO, has said full-size second-generation Starlinks are 7 meters long and weigh about 5 times more than the first generation at around 1,250 kilograms. Goldman said SpaceX remains committed to deploying all of its near 30,000 proposed second-generation satellites at altitudes between 340 and 614 kilometers across 9 inclined orbits, whether they launch through a Falcon 9 or through Starship. It continues by saying, quote, the result will be that more Americans will receive high-quality bandwidth faster. And this is what we're all looking for. And he actually stated this to the FCC. This is really great news. SpaceX's constellation plans faced opposition from companies including satellite broadband operator Viasat, which wants the FCC to perform an environmental review before approving the second-generation network. Of course, guys, let's have some more reviews, some more environmental reviews. Make sure that there's not a lot of noise pollution in the area where they blast off this 400-foot rocket. Anyways, SpaceX has launched more than 3,100 satellites for Starlink's current generation with Falcon 9s, usually in batches around 50 per mission. According to astronomer and spaceflight analyst Jonathan McDowell, more than 2,800 are currently working in LEO, or low Earth orbit. The company has said that the second generation would provide denser rural coverage and improved performance while being compatible with existing Starlink user terminals. Once again, massive. This is really good. Denser rural coverage. That's what we want to see. Faster speeds, better performance, better reliability. That's what they're stating that will be coming. That is great. SpaceX currently has permission to deploy 4,408 satellites into LEO for a network that uses the Ku band spectrum to connect users from around 550 kilometers above Earth. That's what I was just speaking about. A separate FCC authorization also gives SpaceX permission to launch 7,500 V-band satellites, which Starlink's first generation needs to reach a total of around 12,000 satellites for global service. Now, like I was saying before, due to the Falcon 9's payload fairing, that top capsule being about 50% narrower than the Starship, well, they had to redesign those Generation 2 satellites. And not only redesign the satellite, but also sit them inside that payload area instead of horizontally, vertically. So it is completely different. So what happens, instead of getting 50 to 60 version 1.5 satellites into the tip of a Falcon 9, they're only able to get about 12 to 13 of these Generation 2s. But due to the speeds and the throughput being 3 times more with the Generation 2s in comparison to the Generations 1s or the 1.5s, it doesn't really matter because they're going to be able to get faster speeds and better reliability anyways because they are the newer versions. So it is exciting that they're going to start getting these up into orbit, even though we are not able to get the Starship into orbit because of all of the regulatory nonsense and all of the environmental BS and all of the hoops that he's having to jump through just to get the damn thing off the ground. This should have been launched last year, the end of last year, or the beginning of this year, and it hasn't happened. They've done some test runs, test firing. Finally, the FAA has given approval for this and that, and the FCC also with the... Now, of course, there are environmental issues when you're launching a massive rocket. There's also issues that that rocket could veer off course and end up taking out one of the launch pads that launches rockets up to the ISS, the International Space Station. So we want to make sure that we don't mess that up and that we can't get to the astronauts, right? I do feel like Elon Musk, as of late, has been given the, let's say, short end of the stick when it comes to the government. And a lot of that has to do with the Twitter stuff and him being very outspoken. He doesn't really keep it to himself. He just says it how it is. And I can appreciate that. But a lot of people don't. And I think that's why he's been having a lot of the problems that he's been having. So what does this mean to you and me or anyone else that's in rural America or rural anywhere that's using the SpaceX Starlink system? Well, in my personal opinion, I think that this is going to improve speed, improve latency, and improve reliability. As we see those Generation 2s up there in operation, as I always said, those things are like NOCs or network operation centers or POPs, point of presence, in the air in comparison to on the ground. So I believe that there's going to be a lot of transmission of data happening at the speed of light in space instead of on the ground. And whenever you can actually transmit that data and process the data in the air before it gets to the ground, it is much faster and you can reach greater distances. So I really think that this is going to be a positive turn of events for all of us. Now, remember, Elon Musk is making this decision to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to redesign the Starlink Gen2 satellites so that those satellites can be deployed via the current Falcon 9 instead of waiting for the FCC, the FAA, and all the other regulation to be able to get those satellites up into orbit. He's spending a lot of money. And I think that this is happening because the company itself is feeling the pain as many of the dissatisfied current Starlink customers are voicing their opinion and voicing their dissatisfaction. And I don't believe that Elon is comfortable with that. He really wants to give back. He is, I believe, in my personal opinion, a very nice guy. And yes, he's a businessman. He's a brilliant man. But I think that he doesn't like when anyone looks down upon him or any of his companies. And if one of his companies is doing such crap that they're getting a ton of dissatisfaction or negative feedback from its current users, he's going to fix it. And I'm sure that's why he's decided to spend these millions and millions and millions of dollars on the redesign so that he's able to get those Generation 2 satellites into LEO, into low Earth orbit, quicker, faster, and without the Starship. Even though Starship is going to be the final goal to be able to get a ton of them up there. But for now, he knows that he needs to fix this somehow. And the version 1.5s are a small fix, whereas the Generation 2s are a big fix. So I think that's what's going on here. So in the comment area below this video, I want to hear your thoughts. Let's have this conversation. As I said before, if you want more Starlink goodness, go check out my Starlink playlist. And if you have not subscribed to the channel as of yet, please subscribe and click this little bell icon over here so when I go live or when a new video comes out, you'll be notified of it immediately, and throw the video a thumbs up if you've gotten anything out of it. And finally, head over to my website, JCristina.com, where you can find all the photography tools I've invented for you and me over the years, and hopefully there's something there that you might like, and if there is, please pick it up and support me and my family. That's it, guys. I'm out of here for yet another vlog. Many blessings to you and your family. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you in the next one. Love you all.